Chosen one. There is a kind of tired that only people like you experience. The tired of having done everything right for so long, without the physical evidence to show for it. I know that tired, and I am not here to ask more of you. What I am here to tell you is this: the absence of evidence is not the absence of movement. Right now, in a frequency your current circumstances cannot yet translate, something has been dispatched in your direction. Something significant. Something that by every standard of this world would be described as shocking. It is money. It is provision. It is the arrival of what has always been assigned to your name. And the instruction that comes with it is the one thing that will feel completely wrong to someone who survived by never stopping. Do not move. Not because the fight is over and nothing is left, but because the specific kind of receiving that this season requires operates on a frequency that effort disrupts. The ancient ones knew this, and now neuroscience is beginning to document exactly why. Your brain, under the sustained pressure of financial uncertainty, locks into a state that can earn but cannot receive. What you need right now is not another strategy. It is a recalibration, a shift in the frequency at which you are operating. You won, chosen one. The decree is already written. A shocking amount of money is moving toward you. Stay still, and let me show you how to open the door. I hear the Spirit saying something over you right now, and it is not a suggestion. It is a decree spoken from a place that does not operate on the same timeline as your bank account. It says, you won, not you will win, not you might win if you keep trying. In the past tense, in the place where all things begin, before they appear, it is already done. The transaction has been recorded. The amount has been assigned. Your name is on it. And the one instruction that comes with that decree is not run faster or try harder or apply one more time. The instruction is to stand in the open field of your life with your hands open and let what was always yours arrive. This is not spiritual poetry. This is the most precise instruction available to you in this season. Now, I want to show you something, because this message did not find you by accident, not through an algorithm, not through coincidence. Something that knows the exact weight of what you are carrying placed this in front of you at this exact moment. And part of what it wants to show you is that the arrival is already happening in ways that are visible, if you know what you are looking at. Let me name what you may already be noticing. There are conversations that have been redirected recently, ones that started heading in one direction and then turned, and the turn brought up your name, or an opportunity, or a connection that made no logical sense for that moment. You may have dismissed it. Do not dismiss it again. There are doors that have closed recently that, from the outside, looked like they should have been open to you. You may have felt the rejection, but what closed was not an opportunity meant for you. What closed was a detour. The closing was protection. The universe does not close doors in front of the chosen without opening something more precisely aligned further along the path. There are names that keep coming up. People you haven't thought about in years who surface in conversation, in your mind, at odd hours. You do not fully understand why. That is because the connection you are being moved toward is not yet fully visible. But the movement has already begun. There is a precision in small things recently, timing that should not line up, but does. A call that came at exactly the right moment. A message that said exactly what you needed to hear without the person knowing you needed to hear it. A number, a time, a phrase repeated in a way that statistics cannot explain. This is not coincidence. This is the infrastructure of alignment. This is what it looks like in the natural world when something massive has been dispatched in the spiritual realm and is beginning to make contact with your physical reality. And here is the one that most people miss because they mistake it for a problem. Recently, your tolerance has changed. Things you used to sit through without much reaction, certain conversations, certain environments, certain kinds of energy have started to feel suffocating. You walk into a room or a situation that used to feel neutral and something in you pulls back. You sit in conversations that used to fill time, and they now drain you in a way you cannot fully explain. You may have wondered if something is wrong with you, if you are becoming too sensitive, if you are pulling away from life. I want you to hear this clearly. Nothing is wrong with you. Your tolerance is not failing. Your frequency is rising. And when your frequency rises, the things that operate at lower frequencies become incompatible, not because you became difficult, but because you became different. You became the next version. This is one of the most accurate signs that the arrival is near. The discomfort is not distance from your blessing. It is proximity to it. Before I go deeper into what is happening and why, I want to say something to those of you who are still watching. Because what I am about to show you in this message, the real reason the stillness is not passive, the neurological truth behind why the ancient ones said, "Be still," and the one practical thing that separates the people who receive from the people who remain reaching that information is in this video. And it will reframe how you approach the next 90 days of your financial life. There is also something I am going to speak over you at the end of this, a declaration I believe will stay with you long after you leave this space. Stay with me. What is ahead in this message is worth every minute. Now, I want to talk about something you have been carrying that most people in your life cannot see. You are tired in a way that sleep does not fix. Not tired of life, not tired of your calling, but tired of the gap. The gap between what you carry inside of you, the knowing, the capacity, the undeniable sense that you were built for something larger than what your current circumstances reflect and what your bank account actually shows. That gap is real, and the exhaustion of living inside it is real. The weight of waking up every morning and choosing again despite the numbers refusing to move, that is not weakness. That is one of the most demanding spiritual disciplines a human being can perform. I see you, not the version you present, the real version, the one that sat with the uncertainty in the quiet hours, the one that held faith in both hands when everything around you gave you every reasonable justification to put it down, the one that got up again, not because the evidence changed, but because something inside you that could not be argued with told you to. That is not ordinary endurance. That is the endurance of the chosen. And what I need you to understand before we go any further is that the wilderness you have been walking through was not a punishment. It was not evidence that you were overlooked or forgotten or passed by. Every season of financial difficulty you have walked through has been building something in you that could not have been built any other way. Not the grinding kind of resilience that makes a person hard, the receiving kind of capacity that makes a person open. You cannot hold abundance you were not built to contain. And you were being built to contain something significant. There is a pattern I want to show you. It runs through the lives of those who, throughout history, carried the kind of assignment you carry, and it does not look like what most people expect it to look like. Think of an eagle. Not the dramatic version, the one diving and catching. Think of the eagle at altitude. Specifically, think of what the eagle does when it encounters a thermal current, one of those invisible columns of rising warm air that move upward through the atmosphere. The eagle does not flap harder. It does not accelerate. It does not increase its effort to take advantage of the current. It stops, it spreads its wings, and it becomes still. And in that stillness, the current lifts it higher and further than any amount of flapping could have carried it. The stillness is not rest. The stillness is the strategy. I need you to hold that image, because we are going to come back to it. And when we do, it will mean something different to you than it does right now. Here is what I want you to know before we go into the next layer of this. The stillness I am describing, the don't move of this season, is not asking you to give up. It is not telling you to stop working, stop showing up, stop being present in your life. What it is asking is something far more difficult for someone like you. It is asking you to stop reaching toward the arrival and let the arrival come to you. But here is what I haven't told you yet. There is a reason this particular kind of chosen one, the one who survived by never stopping, finds this the hardest instruction to follow. And that reason goes deeper than personality, deeper than habit. It goes all the way down to the wiring of your brain. And when I tell you what is actually happening there, it will change how you understand every moment of stillness you have ever experienced, and every moment of financial pressure you have ever carried. Stay with me. There is something you need to hear first about the pattern of the people who made it through. You have been moving for a long time, chosen one. Not carelessly, strategically, intelligently, with everything you had. Through financial seasons that would have stopped most people entirely, you found a way to keep going. Through rejections that would have convinced a less certain person that the path was wrong, you held your direction. And that survival that sustained, disciplined, relentless survival, it saved you. It carried you to this moment. But here is what I need to tell you about the person it built. The person who survives by never stopping develops something in them over time. A mechanism, a wiring that says, when in doubt, act. When threatened, move. When uncertain, do something, anything, so that you feel the ground beneath you, so that you have the sensation of progress, so that the fear of standing still does not become the fear of being left behind. That mechanism kept you alive in the desert, but the desert is ending, and the mechanisms of the desert are not the tools of the harvest. Let me show you what that looks like in practice, because it does not always look like what you would expect. The first way this pattern shows up is in the planning. You receive a nudge, a sense that something is about to open, a sign that an opportunity is near, and within moments, you are already planning how to accelerate it, how to position yourself in front of it, how to make sure you do not miss it by being unprepared. And the planning itself, well-intentioned as it is, sends a signal in your energy, in your frequency, that says the arrival is not trusted, that it needs your help. And that signal disrupts the very channel through which the arrival was coming. The second way it shows up is in the acting. Every nudge must be immediately followed with action. Every door that appears must be pushed before it is confirmed open. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes the door that looked like an invitation was actually a test of whether you would move before you were told to. And moving too soon does not open that door. It locks it. The third way it shows up is quieter and far more destructive. It happens in the anticipation. You begin to feel the approach of something good, and before it arrives, before it has taken any form, you begin to neutralize it. With anxiety, with but what if it doesn't actually happen? With the protective habit of lowering your own expectation, so that the disappointment, if it comes, does not destroy you. And in that moment of protective anticipation, you are not protecting yourself. You are redirecting what was sent. I want to be very clear about something here. These patterns do not mean you are broken. They do not mean you are self-sabotaging in the way that word usually implies, as though there is something in you that does not want good things. That is not what is happening. What is happening is that your brain was trained by real circumstances to protect you from real danger. The financial pressure you have carried was real. The uncertainty was real. And a brain under sustained real threat learns to act because acting feels like control, and control feels like survival. But what that brain has not yet learned, and what this season is specifically designed to teach, is that there is a different kind of strength. Not the strength of action, the strength of receiving. And receiving requires something that the survival-wired brain finds almost intolerable. It requires you to feel the arrival coming and do nothing to help it along. There is something underneath all of this that I want to name directly, because I think it is sitting in a lot of people watching this right now, and it has not been given its proper name. You are afraid of what happens if it actually comes. Not the surface fear, what if it doesn't come? The deeper one. The one that whispers, what if it does come and I lose it? What if I receive the breakthrough and I am not capable of holding it? What if the abundance arrives and changes me into someone I do not recognize? What if everyone sees that I was not actually ready? That fear is not a sign of weakness. I need you to hear that. That fear is a sign of wisdom. It is the fear of someone who understands the weight of what is being carried. The people throughout history who received significant assignments and handled them well, they all carried that fear. The ones who did not carry it were the ones who crashed when the weight arrived. Your fear does not disqualify you. Your fear is the evidence that you are ready. And I want to say something else to you now. Something I want you to receive not just as a teaching but as a permission. You are allowed to stop planning the arrival. You are allowed to let something come to you without running toward it first. You are allowed to receive without explaining to yourself or anyone else how it happened or why you deserve it. You are allowed to be the one things turn for. You are allowed to outgrow the version of yourself that survival built, not because that version was wrong, but because it served its season, and that season is ending. You are allowed to be still, and you are allowed to trust that the stillness is not failure. Now, there is something I need to show you about a pattern that runs through the lives of the ones who came before you, because you are not the first person to stand at exactly this threshold. There was a man whose story is one of the most precisely documented journeys from financial devastation to improbable elevation that history records. His name was Joseph, and the part of his story most people rush past is the part most relevant to where you are standing right now. Before the elevation came before the palace, before the position, before the resources, there was a period that made no sense from the outside. He was qualified. He was gifted. By every external measure, he should have been advancing. And instead, he was held, confined, in a place that had no visible connection to the destiny that had been declared over his life. He did not move himself out of that place. He did not engineer his own release. He did not strategize his way into the next season. And the record shows that this is not weakness. This is one of the most sophisticated spiritual positions a chosen person can hold. To be still in the holding pattern, not because there is nothing to do, but because the thing required in that moment is not doing, it is becoming. What was being formed in Joseph during the years that looked like confinement was not time being wasted. It was capacity being built, the capacity to hold what was coming, the authority to carry what was assigned, the character that would not be corrupted when the resources finally arrived. You do not receive a harvest you were not grown to handle. The desert you have been in, the financial wilderness, the years of delay, the seasons of closed doors and slow movement, they were not taking from you. They were building in you the exact internal infrastructure required to hold what is now coming without losing yourself in it. This is what the wilderness is for. Not punishment, not abandonment, formation. The specific, irreplaceable kind of formation that only happens when things are hard and the chosen one keeps choosing anyway. You have been in your formation season, chosen one. And formation seasons do not last forever. They end. And when they end suddenly. Now let me give you something practical. Because I do not want to leave you with only understanding. I want to leave you with a tool. I call it the 3-gate block. And it describes the 3 places where the chosen one most commonly and most unconsciously interrupts their own receiving. The first gate is the planning gate. This is the place where, the moment something good approaches, the mind immediately begins to manage it, to anticipate it, structure it, position for it. And the act of managing what has not yet arrived sends a message to the universe and to your own nervous system that the arrival is not trusted. The planning gate stays open when you are in earning mode. Receiving requires you to close it. The second gate is the acting gate. This is the impulse to immediately respond to every nudge with visible movement. Every sign must be followed with action. Every door must be pushed. And while there is a time for decisive action, the acting gate that was trained in survival fires before discernment has done its work. It acts before it knows whether the door was meant to be pushed or meant to be waited for. Closing the acting gate does not mean becoming passive. It means learning the difference between aligned action and anxious action. The third gate is the anxiety gate, and this is the quietest and the most destructive. It is the habit of preemptively lowering your own expectation so that disappointment cannot reach the depth of hope. It is the practice of neutralizing the arrival before it comes, under the guise of protecting yourself. But abundance cannot flow through a channel that is braced against it. The anxiety gate stays open in an attempt to control the outcome, and it must be closed not through force, but through the decision to trust what was already sent. 3 gates: planning, acting, anxiety. And the combined effect of all 3 being open at the same time is this: the eagle keeps flapping. Remember the eagle I described earlier, the one at altitude, encountering the thermal current. The eagle that is flapping does not soar. It arrives lower than the eagle that found the current, and it arrives far more tired. The flapping is not the problem. Flapping has its purpose. The problem is flapping when the current is already there. When the thing that would carry you has already arrived and is directly beneath your wings, and you are still burning energy moving the wings instead of trusting the lift. You are at the thermal, chosen one. The current is there. And the invitation of this season is to spread your wings and be still. But here is what I have not told you yet, and this is the part that changes everything. The stillness I am describing is not just spiritual wisdom. It is not just the teaching of the ancients. There is a physical reason, a neurological reason, a measurable, documentable, reproducible, scientific reason why the person who enters true stillness begins to receive what others can only reach for. And when I show you what it is, what happens inside the brain of the person who receives, versus what happens inside the brain of the person who perpetually earns without receiving it, will reframe every quiet moment you have ever had. And it will show you why the instruction "don't move" is not a spiritual metaphor. It is a neurological prescription. Stay with me. There is a word I want to bring to your attention before we go into the science. Because the science and the ancient wisdom are pointing at exactly the same thing. And the bridge between them is a single word that most people have heard, but almost no one has understood correctly. The word is shalom. Most people who have encountered this word from the ancient Hebrew texts translate it as peace. And they are not wrong, but they are only seeing the surface of it. In the original Hebrew, the word shalom does not simply describe the absence of conflict. It does not describe a mood or a spiritual feeling. The root of shalom means to be made complete, to be whole, to be paid back in full, with nothing missing and nothing broken. When the ancient wisdom said enter into shalom, it was not describing a passive state of quietness. It was describing a condition of completeness, financial completeness, relational completeness, the kind of wholeness where what was taken has been returned, and not just returned, overpaid. The ancient scholars describe shalom as what happens when a thief is caught, and the court orders them to pay back not just what they stole, but 5 times what they took. This is not a description of peace as rest. This is a description of abundance as justice. And here is where the bridge appears, because modern neuroscience has found something that the ancient ones encoded in that word. They found a state, a measurable, reproducible state in the human brain that corresponds to exactly the kind of receiving that shalom describes. A state in which the brain stops defending and starts completing, stops reaching and starts absorbing, stops earning and starts receiving. That state has a name in neuroscience. It is the gamma state. Let me tell you what gamma actually is. Not as a metaphor, as a measurable electrical frequency in the human brain. Gamma waves are the highest frequency brainwave pattern that scientists can consistently measure, operating above 40 cycles per second. And the research coming out of institutions including MIT, Stanford, Princeton, and Harvard over the last 2 decades has connected gamma activity to something that, if you read it in a spiritual text, you would call miraculous. In gamma state, The brain processes patterns at speeds the conscious mind cannot access. Connections that would take hours of deliberate thinking to arrive at appear in a moment, fully formed. What people throughout history have called intuition, sudden knowing, the right answer arriving out of nowhere. The neuroscientists are measuring this now and finding gamma signatures underneath it every time. In gamma state, synchronicities become visible. The right doors are not just present, they are recognizable. The right people are not just nearby, they are identifiable. It is as though a filter that was previously blocking certain signals is suddenly removed, and the mind can receive transmissions it was blocking before. Dr. Robert Lake, a neuroscientist with 34 years of research in this field, has spent his career studying what he calls the God-given brainwave gamma, and specifically what happens to it over the course of a human life. What his research documents and what parallel research at multiple institutions has confirmed is something that should concern every person watching this. You were born in full gamma access. Every child arrives with gamma running at full capacity. This is measurable. The creativity, the rapid learning, the intuition, the magical quality of early childhood perception. This is not imagination. This is gamma. This is what the brain looks like when it has not yet been suppressed. And then something happens. Gradually, systematically, across the years of early education, across the years of increasing responsibility and financial pressure, and the accumulation of adult uncertainty, gamma goes quiet. The researchers call it the decline effect. It begins as early as age 7. And by the time most adults reach their 40s and 50s, the gamma that was once their natural state has become a rare visitor. Now here is the part I need you to sit with, because this is not just neuroscience. This is your story. The financial pressure you have been carrying, the sustained uncertainty, the gap between what you know is possible and what your circumstances reflect that pressure, does something very specific to the nervous system. It locks the brain into survival frequencies, beta and high beta, the frequencies of alert, of vigilance, of problem solving under threat. These frequencies are extraordinarily good at one thing: earning, strategizing, protecting, managing threat, but they are incompatible with gamma. You cannot be in survival frequency and receiving frequency at the same time. The brain literally cannot run both simultaneously. And this is the cruelty of the situation that so many chosen ones find themselves in. The very pressure that makes them pray harder, work harder, reach further, is the very pressure that locks them out of the state in which their prayers can be answered. The very effort that financial stress produces is the effort that blocks the channel through which the answer would arrive. This is not a spiritual metaphor. This is a measurable neurological mechanism. And this is why the instruction "don't move" is not passive. It is precision. It is the deliberate act of stepping out of survival frequency and back into the state in which receiving is neurologically possible. It is the eagle stopping the flapping, not because it is tired, because it finally understands what it was built for. The wise men and women throughout history who said "be still," they were not speaking only to the spirit. They were speaking to the brain. They were describing, in the language available to them, something that the instruments in modern laboratories are now confirming. Stillness is not the absence of action. Stillness is the activation of the receiving frequency. I want to show you someone whose story illustrates this. Because data is powerful, but a life is undeniable. There was a man, 51 years old, provider, someone who had spent his entire adult life as the person others counted on. He had been sharp his whole career, the kind of person who walked into a room and the room shifted, and then his company downsized. Not because of his performance, because of economics. And in the months that followed, something happened that terrified him more than the job loss itself. He went foggy, not in a medical sense, but the sharpness that had always been there, the quick connections, the instinctive decisions, the articulate presentation of himself and his work, it went quiet under the pressure of sustained financial uncertainty. He described it as driving with the windshield fogged from the inside. He could see the road, approximately, but the clarity was gone. He went to interviews, and the words did not come the way they used to. He had ideas, but could not access them under pressure. He felt, he said, like someone had turned the volume down on his mind. What he did not know at the time, what none of us are taught, is that his brain had done exactly what brains under sustained financial stress do. It had shifted out of gamma and locked into survival frequency. The fog was not weakness. It was his nervous system doing its job of protecting him from further threat by conserving resources and staying alert. The shift in his life did not come from a new resume. It did not come from a new strategy. It came when he discovered something, a tool, a specific audio-based technology that began to restore what the pressure had suppressed. 11 days after he began using it, he received the first job offer. Not for a position equivalent to the one he lost, for something better. He said afterward that the change was not in the job market. The change was in the frequency at which his mind was operating. Something had been restored, something that had been there before the pressure started and had gone quiet under the weight of it. Something that, when it came back, made him recognizable to himself again. I am going to tell you more about what that tool was. But I want to give you something you can use right now. Before we get there, I call it the Sacred Stillness Protocol. And it is 3 specific practices, not physical, not requiring any equipment, that begin to move your brain from survival frequency toward receiving frequency. You can do all 3 of them without moving, wherever you are right now. The first practice is what I call the 90-second pause, and it is exactly what it sounds like. Gamma cannot activate under continuous mental movement. The research is consistent on this point. The brain needs a gap, a genuine gap of non-directed attention to shift frequencies. 90 seconds, not of emptiness of permission. You are not trying to think of nothing. You are simply allowing your mind to stop directing itself for 90 seconds. No planning, no reviewing, no solving. Just the present moment, receiving your full attention without agenda. Most people who try this for the first time discover something uncomfortable. They cannot do it for 90 seconds without the planning mind asserting itself. That is not failure. That is the anxiety gate opening automatically. And recognizing it is the first step toward learning to close it. The second practice is the frequency check, and this one requires honesty. You sit with a single question, not to answer it analytically, but to feel the answer. Am I operating from alignment right now, or am I operating from fear? Not guilt and not judgment, just honest identification. Because the actions that come from alignment and the actions that come from fear can look identical from the outside. The same call made, the same email sent, the same decision taken. But the frequency underneath them is entirely different. And it is the frequency, not the action, that determines what is drawn toward you. The third practice is the open hand practice, and this one is entirely internal. I want you to take a breath, and in your mind, not physically, just in your imagination, picture your hands, picture them closed, gripping something, and then, without any physical movement, picture them opening, slowly, completely, palms up, holding nothing, reaching for nothing, simply open. That image, your hands open, holding nothing, reaching for nothing, is the neurological posture of receiving. It is what the brain looks like in gamma. It is what shalom looks like as a physical metaphor. And I want you to hold that image now as we go deeper into what is waiting for you in this season. If something in this message has already shifted something in you, if you feel what I am describing in a place that recognition lives, not just where understanding lives, type I receive in the comments right now. Not for me. As a declaration from you to you. Now, there is something I want to revisit, because earlier I mentioned something I said I would return to. I described a discovery, something that some of the people in Dr. Robert Lake's research called their entry point into this state. Something simple, Something that does not require years of practice or expensive equipment, or the kind of sustained discipline that the survival-wired brain struggles to maintain. And I want to tell you what it is now, because we have arrived at the place in this conversation where it makes complete sense. Dr. Robert Lake spent 34 years studying gamma, its patterns, its triggers, its relationship to what the ancient world called genius and what the spiritual world calls divine reception. He developed what he called, among his colleagues, a family of protocols for gamma reactivation. And in his research portfolio, you will find references to something called the youthful brain, one of the foundational frameworks from which a number of his later tools were developed. His work spans decades and includes contributions that most people outside specialized neuroscience circles have never encountered. And out of all of that work, all of the clinical research, all of the longitudinal studies, all of the laboratory instruments measuring brainwave patterns in real time, he distilled something. He took the core mechanism of gamma reactivation and he compressed it into 7 minutes. 7 minutes of audio delivered through headphones. Not meditation, not guided imagery that requires a quiet room and 30 minutes of stillness you do not have. Not a biofeedback device that costs several $1,000s and requires professional calibration. 7 minutes, headphones, eyes closed or open, sitting, lying down, wherever you are. The technology behind it is called brain entrainment. And what it does is something that prayer opens the door to, and that science has found a way to reliably replicate. It introduces a specific frequency through audio, through the precise layering of sound that the brain, through a process called the frequency following response, begins to mirror. The brain hears gamma, and the brain becomes gamma. Not permanently, not by itself, but consistently, with daily use of 7 minutes. The research documents something that would once have required a lifetime of meditation practice to achieve: reliable, reproducible access to gamma state. He called it the genius song. I want to be direct with you about what this is and what it is not. It is not a guarantee. It is not a promise that money will appear in your account within a specific number of days because you listen to an audio file. What the research documents is this: consistent gamma activation changes the way the brain processes its environment. It changes what is recognized, what is visible, what is accessible. The people in Dr. Lake's documented cases did not receive abundance because of magical thinking. They received it because their brains became capable of receiving, capable of recognizing the doors that were already open, the connections that were already present, the patterns that had been right in front of them and invisible. The fog lifted, and what was always there became visible. I want to speak to something you may be thinking right now, because you have tried things before. You have invested in tools, in practices, in courses, in methods that promised transformation and delivered less than that. And the reasonable conclusion from repeated disappointment is caution. You have earned that caution. It is intelligent. But I want to distinguish between what you have tried before and what I am describing now. The things you have tried, the meditation, the healing practices, the spiritual frameworks, most of them asked your brain to change itself from the inside. They asked the survival frequency brain to will itself into a different state. And this is, neurologically, extraordinarily difficult. It is like asking a person with a foggy windshield to clear it from inside the car by thinking about clarity. Brain entrainment works differently. It does not ask the brain to change itself. It introduces a frequency from outside, and the brain, by its own natural mechanics, follows it. It is the difference between asking the eagle to flap harder and introducing a thermal current beneath its wings. The same woman who had spent a decade helping everyone around her develop, while standing still herself, she described what happened after 3 weeks of daily use as this: the ideas that she had been trying to think her way to started arriving on their own. Decisions she had been delaying for months resolved themselves in a single morning. She said it felt like the ceiling she had been pressing against simply was not there anymore. There are over 18,000 people who have used the Genius song. Their documented experiences describe the same pattern. Not a single dramatic event, but a shift in access. A shift in what the brain can see, connect, and receive. And as with everything else in Dr. Lake's work, there are imitations. This is important, and I want you to take it seriously, because the technology that produces actual brain entrainment is specific and precise. Audio that sounds peaceful does not produce gamma entrainment. There are products circulating that use the name or the concept without the underlying technology. They are, by the measure of the research, simply pleasant sounds. The only way to receive the Genius song with the full technology intact, with the 4 bonuses that Dr. Lake includes, with the complete money-back guarantee, is through the link in the pinned comment and the description of this video. Not through any search engine, not through any marketplace, not through anywhere else you might find it, only through that link. Because Dr. Lake made a specific decision about how this is distributed, and that decision exists to protect the integrity of what reaches you. The price you will find through that link is $39. I want to give you the context for that number, because I think it matters. The clinical methods for achieving reliable gamma reactivation outside of this technology cost $300 per hour for professional biofeedback therapy. The home devices that approximate this technology cost $7,000 and require technical knowledge to calibrate. The meditation practice that produces comparable results, documented comparable results, takes months to years to develop and requires the sustained discipline that the survival-wired brain finds nearly impossible to maintain. $39. 7 minutes a day. The full technology, the full documentation, the full money-back guarantee if you do not experience a difference. The only risk is not trying it. Dr. Lake's original price for this was $49. The $39 price available through the link in this video exists because of a specific decision he made about the people he wants to reach with this work. People who have been carrying the weight of delayed provision long enough. People who were ready to receive before the tool even existed. People like you. If your spirit resonates with what was just shared, if something in you confirmed that this is the recalibration your brain and your receiving capacity need, the link is in the pinned comment and the description. Navigate there in your own time, only if you feel led. Now, I need to bring you to the deepest truth, the one that everything we have discussed has been building toward. Because the neuroscience is real, and the protocol is real, and the tool is real, but underneath all of it, there is something larger. Something that makes all of the rest of it make sense. And it is this: you were not built like other people. Not as a compliment, not as a motivation, as a neurological and spiritual fact. The reason you feel the absence of financial provision so deeply deeper than it seems to affect people around you who appear to carry it more lightly is not because you are weaker. It is because you arrived with a higher gamma capacity than average. The research documents this. The people who are most profoundly affected by the decline effect are the people who had the most to lose when it happened. The drop felt furthest because the starting point was highest. This is why there is a part of you that has always known, not hoped, not wished, but known, that you were meant for something larger than what your circumstances reflect. That knowing is not delusion. It is the residual signal of a gamma capacity that is still present, still operating at some level beneath the suppression, still transmitting the truth about what you were built to carry. The gap you feel between who you are and who you know yourself to be, that gap is the gap of gamma. It is the distance between your suppressed frequency and your original one. And what this season is, what all of this has been, is the return to original frequency. Not elevation to something you were never meant to be. Restoration to something you have always been. And I hear the Spirit saying over you right now, I did not diminish your gift. The world tried to quiet it. What I am doing in this season is not giving you something new. I am returning what was always yours. The provision attached to your name was not delayed because you were unready. It was held in trust while you were being prepared to hold it without losing yourself in it. And the preparation is complete. You are not still waiting, chosen one. You are receiving. I want to name who you are now. Not who you will become, who you already are. Underneath everything, the years of pressure tried to convince you otherwise. You are a seer. You perceive what others miss, not because you are more spiritual than the people around you, but because your brain, even under suppression, has been operating at a pattern recognition frequency that most people never access. The things you knew before you had evidence for them. The people you recognized before they showed you who they were. The timing you felt before it arrived. That is not intuition in the vague sense. That is Gamma doing what it was designed to do, and it is still doing it. You are a builder. There is something in you that does not just participate in the world it constructs. It creates systems and structures and environments that outlast the moment. You have been doing this even in the wilderness. Even when there were no visible resources to build with, you were laying foundations that you will not fully understand until you see what is built on top of them. You are a cycle breaker. You did not arrive at this point in history to repeat the patterns that came before you. You arrived to end them. Every financial pattern that your family, your community, your history has normalized, the scarcity, the ceiling, this is just how it is for people like us. You are the generation in which that ends, not because you decided to be, because you were sent to be. You are a pioneer. You go first. Not into unknown territory in the abstract sense, but into the specific version of abundant living that no one in your lineage has walked in before. And you go first so that the path is visible for everyone who comes after you. You are a spiritual warrior. You hold ground, not by being hard, by being grounded, by understanding that what is being built in you is worth protecting, by refusing to vacate the position you have been given, even when everything around you suggested it was unreasonable to stay. This is who you are, chosen one. Not who you are trying to become, who you already are. And now I want to do something with you. Not around you, with you. I want you to, in your mind only, picture yourself standing somewhere open, a field, a horizon, whatever open space your mind naturally reaches for. You do not need to move. You do not need to create it perfectly. Just let whatever image comes, come. In that space, there is something approaching on the horizon. Not something threatening, something large and luminous and moving with intention. It has your name on it. It knows exactly where you are. It does not need your help to find you. It is already finding you. It has been finding you for longer than you know. And your only task in this moment is this. Keep your hands open. In your imagination, your hands are not reaching. They are not gripping. They are not planning what to do when the thing arrives. They are simply open, palms up, ready. Feel what that posture does in the quiet part of you. The part that has been braced for so long. The part that has been ready to act, ready to defend, ready to earn. Let that part of you, just for this moment, open. That is Gamma. That is Shalom. That is the frequency of arrival. And that is what a shocking amount of money has been moving toward for longer than your circumstances have been willing to show you. Right now, all across the world, chosen ones are in this exact same stillness. In quiet rooms, in dark apartments, in cars parked in driveways, people who have been carrying the same gap, hearing the same instruction, opening to the same arrival. You are not alone in this. You are part of something that is happening in a generation of people simultaneously. A collective reactivation. If you know someone who has gone unusually quiet recently, someone who has pulled back from the noise without fully understanding why, share this with them. They may be exactly at the threshold you have just crossed, and they may need to hear what was said in this message more than you know. Now let me show you something I want you to use in the days ahead. A simple way to audit where you are, whether you are in earning frequency or receiving frequency, so that you can make the shift consciously when you feel yourself drifting. I call it the frequency audit, and it is 3 questions, not to answer analytically, to feel the answer. The first question is, what am I doing right now because I am afraid? And what am I doing right now because I am aligned? Not which is larger, just which is present, just the honest naming of it. The second question is, if I truly believed the arrival was already guaranteed, what would I stop doing today? The third question is, if I trusted the decree completely, the you won that was spoken over your life before any evidence arrived, what would I start doing that I have been holding back? Those 3 questions, held quietly, will tell you more about your frequency than any external measurement. And when you can feel the difference between the answers when aligned action and anxious action feel different in your body, you will know which gate is open and which one needs to close. Take a breath now, because what comes next is not a teaching. It is not information. It is something I want to speak over you and for you and into this season of your life. Something I promised you earlier in this message. Something that I believe you carried as long as you needed to, in order to arrive at exactly this moment, ready to receive it. We are going to end this the way things like this are meant to end, not with a summary, with a sealing. Stay with me just a little longer, chosen one. Something is about to be declared over your financial life, and I want you to receive it. Let everything I have told you today settle for a moment. The signs, the block, the frequency, the neuroscience, the permission, the identity. Let it move from your mind into the quieter place, the place underneath the thinking, the place that already knew before this message started that something was shifting. You came here carrying the weight of a gap, and I want you to feel the weight of it differently now, not as absence, as proximity. The gap is not evidence that the provision is far. The gap is the last distance before the arrival. Think of the eagle one more time. It is not climbing, it is not flapping, it has found the current, and it is soaring not because the conditions changed, but because it finally stopped fighting what was already carrying it. That is you, chosen one. That is this season. That is what don't move actually means. You found the thermal, and now the thermal does what it was always designed to do. And I hear the Father saying this over you now. I did not bring you through everything you have been through to leave you at the edge of what was always yours. The ground beneath you is sacred. Every season you endured was preparation, not punishment. And what I am doing in this season is not beginning something new. I am completing something ancient. The provision with your name on it has not been lost. It has been held, and the holding is over. You are not waiting anymore. You are receiving. Do not say anything yet. Just sit in that for a moment. Let it reach the places the noise has been keeping it from. Let it move past the part of you that is used to preparing for disappointment and reach the part of you that still believes. That has always believed, even when it was unreasonable to. Let it land there. We release now. Together, we release the identity of the one who always struggles financially. It served its season. It is not who we are anymore. We release the ceiling, the one that was constructed from someone else's story about what is possible for people like us. That ceiling was never ours to carry. We release the habit of neutralizing abundance with anticipation, of lowering our own hope so that the drop would be shorter. We do not need that protection anymore. We release the fear of receiving, the fear that it will change us, expose us, or arrive and then leave. We release the grip of that fear. We release the need to control how the blessing arrives, what form it takes, what timeline it follows. We open that hand completely. We release the comparison to every other person's timeline. Their story is not our story. Our story is being written in a language that is entirely our own. We release the waiting posture, the one that says we are still not there yet. We are done waiting. We are receiving. And we call forth now what has been assigned to this season. We call forth the financial provision that has been dispatched with our name on it. We call it from the place it has been held and into the physical reality of our lives. We call forth clarity, the gamma clarity, the kind where the right doors are visible and the right decisions arrive fully formed, and the fog that the pressure created lifts completely. We call forth the connections, the right people, the aligned relationships, the partnerships that carry the fingerprint of something larger than coincidence, and we open the space in our lives to receive them. We call forth the cycle breaker anointing, the ending of what came before, the beginning of what we were sent to start, and we cover what is rising. We cover the breakthrough from premature exposure. We guard what is being built from the voices that will minimize it and the old reflexes that will try to sabotage it. What is growing in this season is under protection. Now, I want you to hear this. I want you to feel it, not just understand it. I am the one things turn for. I am a receiver, not just a reacher. I am equipped for the abundance assigned to my name. I am the cycle breaker. I am the pioneer. I am the spiritual warrior who held ground long enough to be standing here right now. A shocking amount of money is incoming, and I already won. It is written, it is dispatched, it is mine. Do not rush away from that yet. Sit in this frequency for a moment longer. Let what was just declared settle into the part of you that has been waiting to hear it. Let the chosen one inside you, the one who survived every season that tried to convince them otherwise, let that person receive this. It is done. It is sealed. We receive it. And so it is. There is one more thing before you go. For those of you who felt something shift when we talked about the gamma reactivation, when I described the Genius song and the research behind it, the link is in the pinned comment below this video and in the description. It is available only through that link, not anywhere else. That is the only place. The full technology, the 4 bonuses, and the complete money-back guarantee exist together. If you feel led, navigate there in your own time. If this message found you at exactly the right moment, if something in the frequency of what was spoken here landed in the place that needed it, gently press the like button, not for me, so that this reaches the chosen one somewhere, who is sitting in the same stillness you were sitting in when this began, and who needs to hear that they are not alone in it. And if this is the kind of message your spirit needs in this season, there is more. Stay close. Before you go, type "I am ready" in the comments below, not as a formality, as a declaration from you to the part of you that has been waiting for permission to believe this, the part that already knew long before this video that something was coming. Type it, seal it, and go receive what was always yours.